Here we are, February 1st, 2021. Had a lot of snow down here. And see quite a few track, big track, little track. It'd be really hard to find an antler, but haven't been down. I'll go see what the resident deer herd have been doing. We'll just take a little walk about. I'm not really shed antler hunting because snow's too deep, but you just never know, you know. We'll take the boys some big tracks in there, that's for sure. Well, we'll meander down through here. First day of February. We had 20 some inches of snow in January. So that's quite a bit. So far we've had 40 since winter begun. And we'll see how the deer herd prevails. They've been in there tracking up a bunch. And you notice food types is this softwood edge along in here. That's what they will turn to because that's a good natural food source. So the more edge you can create, you definitely have a super late season food source. And I don't know if you can see all that little browsing going on, how they browse this soft wood. But as they cruise through here, it sticks up out of the snow. And so they won't eat anything much too big, because then they ingest too much cold material and it takes more calories. So it's a negative intake as it takes it to warm it up. So they'll stay with that brand new growth. That's where the most nutrition is, and that's where it's not the coldest. But real trailed up in here. You notice how deep that snow is. I just pushed my foot down in there. I put my hand. Oh, it's all 6-8 inches deep. Oh, it really, unless you've seen an antler that fell and landed on this frozen snowpack, you'd have a hard time getting after them. So. They really trailed up. Really trailed up. We had 12 inches of snow here a week ago today. So. And this weekend, we're supposed to have sub-zero temperatures. Some places sub-zero is high. So the snow will probably be around here for a while. And here is something really, you see this on this oak tree where they've nibbled it off and all the tracks under it. So the more browse, woody types that you can have on your edge, I spent some time here chewing on these. All this new growth has been consumed and eaten back because, like I said, this is about as long. They won't get back into that because that's too cold. It takes too much calories to digest it. So they stay out on that very tip. So if you can create edge, you can tell that's the only thing that brought these deer in here was this wood, and everything in here has been copped on. It's so rewarding to educate yourself as you go about the deer habitat. You can just get out and see what they consume when the going gets tough. It's just so rewarding to see that firsthand. Here's something that's really interesting. I had these leaf piles and I raked them off, and apparently there was some acorns or something in there to their liking, and they tore that pile up, and this other pile over here is tore up also. So you may be doing something to help them and not even knowing it. I said, we'll venture over here to this other leaf pile. Now that may have been a bed. Well, I know that was a bed. There's no doubt about that. But like I said again, that was some leaves that I raked off. And they pawed down through them and made a snow-free bed, insulated with the leaves. Just interesting thing. They did some digging down there on the back side of the pond. We had a clover chicory mix in there. So they definitely were down there rooting that out. And it's just amazing to go out and take 4-season audits, per se, on the land, how it changes. And you can see the pond is just laden with track. It just amazes me how diversified wildlife can be. And you definitely notice when they have that snowpack, they don't wander around. They really trail up and go to and fro. Whereas in the other times of the season, they'll wander all over. But if they're going somewhere, they choose the shortest route, and because they're not going to use up any more calories getting to and from where they're going. That's pretty neat. And this can help you come next fall in your hunting, because you know their predominant trails. They really stand out at this time of year. I mean, if they're going to travel it now, they'll be traveling it in the fall, that's for sure too, because they know it's the shortest route to get where they're going. About 4 deer beds right there, south-facing slope, in out of the wind. And here's a negative. You notice all these trees, they're like lodge poles, and they offer no wintertime food whatsoever. And I've been trying to get some new growth growing, but you see these trees here, none of these offer any forage because they have no limbs hanging down. And so sometimes when you do your forest management, you can cut these down. I've been working on that, but it's apparent, like I say, this tree here has absolutely no value. The value would be up at the top up there, where if you were going to do any chainsawing, as you've seen I've done in the past, now is the time to do that. That would bring that food source down immediately, or an ice storm, because right now you can see by the scarcity of the tracks around here, they offer very little food. Now we're down here in the cedars, where they get in and out of the elements. This is pretty thick in here. This is what's pretty cool. They know where to go. This is really isolated and real heavy canopy up above. So once they get bedded down here, they're not going to have any much snow. There's some blood right there. I went down that hill. I don't know what that's all about. I didn't see no antler laying there, but you can see the blood in the snow. It's not overly fresh, but look at that. It'd been nice to see an antler laying there by that, but that's not to be. But like I say, they really get in here where this is so canopied up that it really breaks the wind and keeps the snow from piling up on them, because it piles up on the tree. Hey, 4 or 5 beds right there. And here again, this is on a south-facing slope where if any sunlight came in, they'd get it and it would break the north wind. But it's just fun. It has nothing to do with killing. It's just, like I said, it's self-educational. Teaches you things about your land or any land, how the deer traverse through it in the 4 seasons. Oh, it's pretty neat. One thing about this snow being this heavy, it's really going to make, when it does melt off, it'll really flatten the grasses and the weeds off because of the weight of it. And if you decide to look for antler, it'll enhance the visibility of them. Let's say I'm just cruising up through here now just to see where the deer were bedding and just getting an idea of what the population. Quite a few deer have been. Well, of course, it's been a week since the snowfall, so these tracks are at least a week old. Here's a nice learning experience. Here we have this nice sized bed, and then we had another smaller bed, and there's a rub right there on that cedar, right where they bedded down. Oh, they've been in here throughout the year. It just, like I say, I'm not going to get into the bowels of the timber per se, because I don't want to disturb anything, because you couldn't, why be walking it 2 and 3 times? But I'm just on the outskirts, and like I say, these beds could be they could be a week old for sure. And they definitely got up in here, as they usually always do, in the storm. But then they move on to different bedding sites. And I know these are does because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds right there, and the bucks ain't gonna hang out like that. They're doing social distancing right now. There's a good situation that you may want to walk down, and it's what I call a wintertime corridor. They broke a trail here. This trail's running east and west, so possibly the buck will come down that trail also, because once the trail's broke, it's less stressful to always try to break new snow. So you possibly could find a shed antler on a situation like this right on the trail. But then again, you could walk 1,000 trails and never find one. That's shed hunting 101. Oh, here's an interesting look at the browse that they did on that. Boy, they ate that new growth right to the ground. It's real soft. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of that browse, new browse right in here where they can come in and they got with the program on that one. Oh, there's another interesting deal. So right over here, I'll walk over here. Now this could be a buck, a lone bed. It's amazing. We have a big rub with that. Got that big bed there, elongated bed with a big rub right there. That's pretty interesting. I mean, to me it is anyway. Hey, maybe the maker of that rub come back home. I said I'm just educating myself on the wintertime browse, natural browse, and the deer movement. And this is a super highway right here. They running that guy hot and heavy. They really trailed up right there. Man. Now I'm not going to go up in there because I'm just going to leave that alone. And there's where self-discipline comes into play. Yeah, you could walk up there, but if you bump the deer out, then you got no one to blame but yourself. You have to be mature enough to know when to say no. And today, some people in today's society have a hard time with that. These trails like this, if I can go track to and fro, the deer will walk right down that trail that same day. But I don't want to go in where no human presence has been and jazz up the area. Just let it stay that way. If you're going to be rewarded with a shed antler, so it be. But just be mature enough to stay on these defined trails. And if, it's going to work out better for you. As you cast off over there, you see that snow so deep that it could have 90% of the antler covered up unless it dropped recently, like last night or something, after the snowpack froze real hard. Might be laying on top, but we've got plenty of time to cover it when the snow's not there. Here's another highway. I know where this highway's going. Oh boy. They got that thing beat down. And a lot of these highways are made by the doe population. But the bucks will travel them because they are broken trail. But this is going to our late season food source. And there's a few beds in here. But like I said, I'm not getting in to the real heavy timber. This is just skirting the outskirts. Oh boy, but then, 4 or 5 deer can make a lot of track. Another thing, when you're out here and you're seeing this amount of deer sign, that doesn't mean this property holds that many deer. That means that you're getting deer that can come from 2-3 miles away at this time of year. And then they disperse in the rest of the year. But right now, you are the only bar in town, and so you're going to have a lot of non-resident locals coming to your bar because you're still serving what they seek. But don't think that you're going to be covered up with deer on any property just because you see all this sign right now. Don't make that mistake in your ideology, because this is wintertime, first day of February, and the deer are yarded up. But they will leave. And if you read this sign right, you can tell that this is just a travel corridor. This is not a bedding area per se, or what people think they have a bedroom. They just traverse through here, and deer can bed anywhere that feels safe. But this trail, like this trail right here, it's just a wintertime travel corridor that's taking them from somewhere to a food source. And right up here is the food source. I should say right up here is the man-made food source. And this is where those trails are headed.